Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Techno Talks here. So in front of us today we have three cases from Aulumu, which are for the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. And recently I had cracked my S25 Ultra screen, and that was because I didn't have a case on there. So I had to wait for the repair process, had to get that repaired, and now I have three cases in front of me to choose from for my next case for the S25 Ultra. So let's go ahead and check them out. So I do want to start off with this one right here. This is the S25 Aramid fiber case. It's thin and lightweight. It has a CPU cooling function, which is really cool. And then we do also have built-in magnets for MagSafe compatibility, which is something that I really use a lot. And so I really have to have MagSafe on all of my devices. So opening this up, here is a first look at what the case looks like, and this is looking really nice and clean. So the CPU cooling function is right there. That's the indicator. Based on the temperature, it changes colors, which is something we might see while we're using the device. And then this right here are the little vents, so you can actually cool down your CPU, which is where it's located on the S25 Ultra, to go out and help with the cooling so the case doesn't cover the whole thing. Again, as it says, this is very thin and lightweight, and that is one of the pros of Aramid fiber cases. They're really nice, they're really thin. They add some pretty minimal protection. It's not the best because we don't really have anything absorbing too much of the shock, but again, it's very nice, thin and lightweight, and you will get some decent protection, especially with those minimal drops. So placing our phone inside, I do recommend going for the side with the buttons, as that's going to make it a lot easier. And then all we have to do is just push down, and voila, now we have this case on our S25 Ultra. And honestly, from first impressions, this is looking really nice and clean. So quickly going over the basics of a case, obviously we do need some protection for our camera lenses, which is exactly what we have. We have a raised lip that goes above the camera lenses, so if you do drop it on its back, it should protect it in most circumstances, unless you're very unlucky and there's this little rock that just hits that. But then again, other than that, this is really nice. We do have the Aramid fiber texture on the back, which looks really cool, and it does have this really nice smooth finish to it, while you can also feel a little bit of that texture. And on the right side, we do have exposed buttons, which is something I really love, because the feeling of the buttons on the phone are a lot more premium than any case that you put on there. Again, the bottom is also exposed, so we do have our USB-C charging port, and we do have access to our S Pen. Again, that's going to be super easy because there is no case covering it, and we do have our SIM tray right here. Again, if you do change out your SIM cards a lot, that's going to be super easy with this case, so you don't have to constantly take the case out. Unfortunately, on the front of this, we don't actually get too much protection. The lip is very minimal, so on those very small drops, this might protect it, but on harder drops, you might actually need a screen protector to protect that, because as I said, the lip is very small. It just barely goes over the display, so you might not get the best protection from the front. But again, with these Aramid fiber cases, that's not really what you're going for. You usually go for the looks and the feeling, and also the lightweight, especially with bigger phones like the S25 Ultra. It's really nice to have these light and thin cases, as it doesn't add too much bulk to it. And once again, where we have the cameras, we actually do have that CPU cooling, so that is something that we have to test out. I don't really know how well that's going to work, but again, it is there, and they've probably done their testing to see if it actually works or not. I don't think it's going to affect it too much, but again, it's nice to have those air vents right there so it can cool off easier. And again, just like all the other cases, we do have MagSafe functionality. Those are some pretty strong magnets, so if we do give it a nice shake, as you can see, that stays on really well. And honestly, again, from the sound, I'm pretty sure you can tell that those magnets are super strong. Moving on to their frosted case, we do have glow-in-the-dark lines. We have a precise cutout for the charging port and S Pen, which is something we'll test out. And also this does have texture sides, and this is a thicker case, so this will actually protect your phone a little more. And then this also does have their CPU cooling holes. So this one right here does resemble a traditional case a lot more than the other one right here. Again, it's still very thin for a regular case, and it does feel very lightweight, so it's not going to be adding too much bulk. However, with that one, you didn't get as much protection, but now you are going to be getting a little more protection with this one right here. Again, we do have this frosted look, as the name suggests, and then we also do get this really cool look for where the MagSafe magnets are going to be. It has this little coil on the inside, which is representing the wireless charging coils on the inside of the phone, which does look really cool. Again, to place your phone inside, we'll go ahead and start from the buttons, and then just push in, and boom, that is a very nice fit. So again, taking a look at that camera lip, it is going to be offering a little more protection compared to the Aramid fiber case. And then we do get this really cool design on the back, which does add some personality to your device. Moving on to the right, we do get, again, the textured finish right there. So when you're holding it, you're going to be having a little more grip compared to some other cases with this one right here. And again, we do have our buttons located on the right. So testing these buttons out really quick in 3, 2, 1. Really nice and easy to click. And then the volume rocker, Again, very nice and easy to click. So usually when companies make buttons that are harder to click, it does get annoying after a while, and so Aulumu has done a great job with the buttons on the S25 case. Again, on the bottom we do have our cutouts for our USB-C charging port and also our S Pen, and if we do go ahead and try our S Pen real quick, it's not too easy to grab. Honestly, it's a little harder than some other cases because they don't actually have a cutout on the back right here, which is something a lot of people have been doing with their cases, so the S Pen is easier to access. So you might struggle a little bit with the S Pen, but other than that, everything else is really nice. Again, something that the Aramid fiber case didn't have is going to be the protection up front. This does have a nice and large lip that goes all around the display, so if you do drop it on its face, in most circumstances, this should be well protected. Again, in the hand, this case does feel really nice, and it's not too heavy, so it doesn't add too much to your phone, plus it's not too thick either, and if you do want some more protection compared to this one, then this one be your best bet. And finally, probably their most premium feeling case, this one is going to be the vegan leather case. It has a soft and lavish touch. We do have the CPU cooling function on this one as well, and we do have that indicator right there, which is nice to see. It does have an aluminum camera frame, and then we also do have the built-in magnets just like the other cases. And right away from the texture and feeling of this case, honestly, this is probably going to be the one I go for. This feels really nice, and again, that is where we have our CPU cooling technology right there. We have this little pad right here, and then we also do have our air vents, and we do have our MagSafe magnets on the inside. So this one does look a little more premium, especially with that vegan leather finish compared to the other cases. And so if you do want some protection and you want a premium case, this would be the one to go for. Once again, starting from the buttons and placing it on the inside. Boom. That is a nice and tight fit. Once again, the camera lenses are being protected by that camera lip right there. This is a little more closer to the Aramid fiber case. The protection is a little less compared to the frosted one right here, but again, you're still getting some pretty decent protection because those camera lenses are on the inside. We do get some texture on the back. It does say Aulumu down here, and then it does say CPU cooling holes right there, which look really nice. They don't really bother you because it's very minimal, and it does add some texture to the case. Just like the camera frame on this case, we do get aluminum buttons, so testing these out in 3, 2, 1. Very nice and clicky. And then the volume rocker, again, very nice and clicky. The one on the frosted is just a tad bit better, but this one is perfect as well. Again, on the bottom, we do have our cutouts for our USB-C charging port and our S Pen, and it does seem like the S Pen cutout is very similar to the one on the frosted one, so it's still a tad bit harder to reach than some other cases, but overall, it's not too bad. Finally, up front, just like the frosted case, we do get a very nice and large lip going across the display. So again, if you do drop it on his face, it's probably not going to be damaging that display. Even if you put a screen protector on there, the lip is large enough, so your screen protector is going to be fine as well. And finally, testing the magnets on this one right here. Just like the other cases, this does have very strong magnets, so if we do shake it, it does take a little while to drop, but those are some really nice magnets. So overall, these cases are really nice. I am thinking of going with the leather one right here. Honestly, it feels the best. It looks the most premium, but again, they have an option for everybody. So if you do want to check these cases out, there will be a link in the description. And again, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and see you guys in the next one.